Hi there, I'm Jane Turner from writewithjane.com, and it's my pleasure to introduce you to Sharon Bech, who is going to talk to us about her author journey, starting with a book that she's just been published in that, by the way, sounds fantastic. Sharon, tell us about what you wrote in that book.
Hi everyone. I was asked to join a group of ladies, 25 of us, to share a chapter about something that had impacted us throughout our lives. So myself and 24 other ladies from all around the world decided to get together, and we all wrote our own personal journeys. And I decided that I wanted to write about my very first book that I published back in 2015. And the reason for that was based around this chapter, was the reasons why I never promoted my first book. Sometimes we get so caught up with the comments and feedback that we get from others that sometimes it stalls us from doing what we truly want to do. This chapter gave me that opportunity to write about that, because in the end of the day, I allowed comments about my very first book from family because it was so personal, and I allowed it to affect me that I ended up putting my books under the bed to collect dust. So this was an opportunity for me to write about that journey and write about the lesson that I learned from doing that, was that it's up to me to make my success, and allowing others' opinions and whether or not they're going to like me to stop me from doing what I truly want to do in my life. I found that to be quite healing, because I'm ready now to launch and put my story out there, because I do believe that I have a very important message that needs to be shared with the world, and it's time for me to shine my light and get it out there.
That's fantastic. And, you know, I really resonate with what you said about feedback that we get. And you were getting real feedback that worried you, whereas a lot of people are actually stymied by the feedback they're getting from the little voice in their head. So that's a whole other ball game in terms of, you know, possibly the feedback you were getting. And I don't know, you know, exactly what it was. It could be, in a lot of cases it is, where the people around you who are very used to you playing small are not ready to recognize that you're ready to step up and play a bigger game. It can be really quite challenging for people. But I'm so glad to hear that 2023 is going to be your year, because your message is important to share. So what plans do you have around that? Is it going to be, I know this is one example of where you're ready to be out and seen and proud. What other things have you got scheduled or in the back of your mind you're ready to start tapping into?
I'm associated with a lovely group of ladies here in Perth, and it's called We Inspire on the Couch. So I've been asked to share my story on the couch, which has always been a dream for me, but it was always with Oprah.
Oh,
So
you'll get there.
yes, I will. So this is about me sitting on the couch and sharing my story. So I will be doing that this year. And then I would like to promote my book in libraries, or even to do a launch. I also had an idea that going around to the CWAs in the local regions in the southwest has always been a dream of mine as well, because there's so many women in the CWA that would understand where my story comes from, because it was in the era of the 60s and 70s when a lot of children were taken away from their parents because there was no welfare back then, as in Centrelink and that type of thing. So that would resonate with a lot of women, and I find that the regional women that are on farms and that, they're very open to sharing stories, and that's my aim, is to share stories and with others, and And yeah, I think it's a wonderful opportunity for everyone to be able to share their stories.
Absolutely. You might motivate more of the women there to be sharing their stories. You might be pulling together an anthology book of your own, possibly.
Well, that would be lovely, wouldn't it? Be fabulous.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. To all the places that I go. Well, that's exactly right. You know, have other ladies doing the same thing. And it's about stepping out and holding their hand to be able to do that. And you would know that yourself, Jane, that it is, you need to have that support. We can't do it on our own. And I think if there's somebody there to guide them and direct them in that, put them in the right direction to be able to share their stories, how wonderful is that?
Absolutely. And there's one thing the world will never get too many of, and it's these stories that you never know how it's going to resonate with somebody. You never know. The ripple effect can be really quite immense. So I really want to take my hat off to you for being prepared to step up now and potentially launch the book. I tell you, the moment of truth that I had when I launched my first book, which you may or may not remember, it's called Thrive in Midlife. And I was launching that with the view to then launching a coaching practice, helping women through that midlife phase. But when I was on stage launching the book, I had an epiphany that that isn't what I was put on this earth to do. Because what I was put on this earth to do was to help people do what I just did, which was share my story and actually just really step up and use our gifts to make a difference in the world in whatever way that may happen to be. And for me, I joke that I wrote the wrong book. You know, people will often intentionally write the book to build the business that they're already running or the one that they intend to run, which was my intention. But meanwhile, I have seen so many people thinking, oh, I just want to write my story so that I've got it written down, or I want to help people in some way or other. And it just leads them on a whole trajectory that they never could have imagined in their life. So, as I say, more power to you for now stepping up and having a launch. I think it's a great idea. And that book, it's just been sitting there under your bed, but it's been safe whilst you've been becoming ready.
Yes, that is so
if
true.
If there's anything you could share with anyone else in your position with the book under the bed, or in fact, with the book not even written, is there anything that's easy for you to share about what's got you to this stage?
I think it's realizing that it doesn't matter what other people think, and actually, it's none of my business what other people think of me. And for myself, and the healing journey was that no matter what I choose to do with my life, it doesn't matter what other people think. And I had to let go of, I want everyone to like me.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
And I was afraid that if I said the wrong thing or put the wrong thing out there, that I would lose my friends or my family. And I guess that is so much the story that I wrote about in the second book, or in the chapter, was because of the losses that I've had throughout my life. And it had a huge impact. And I guess that was what I was afraid of, because the comments and the opinions of others for writing my book allowed me to take that on board and stop me from doing what I truly wanted to do. And it does, it gets into your head and you start thinking all of these thoughts and the negative thoughts. How can you do that? And blah, blah, blah. But I guess what we've got to remember is this is our journey. It's our individual journey. Each one is totally different. And every one of us have an opportunity to do whatever we want in life without the opinions of others. It doesn't matter what they think. And when I think back and I think about it now, a lot of the comments and the opinions are their own fears. And it's about just putting pen to paper, really, and just allowing it to flow. It's like writing a journal, really, isn't it? And then I think perfectionism is what stops us.
Sure enough. Well, my signature book now, as I say, I used to joke that I'd written the wrong book when I wrote Thrive in Midlife, but I followed it up with Mindset for Authors: How to Overcome Perfectionism, Procrastination, and Self-Doubt. They're the three biggies for me. And I know that that's why that first book actually took me over 5 years to write, and over $30,000 invested in various writing programs and whatever. And that was all because I needed to overcome the imposter syndrome, had to overcome the little voice in the head about who'd want to read a book written by you. You're not an expert. You're not someone famous. You're just going to waste your time, and you'll look like an idiot for putting all that time and money into writing a book. And how wrong was that? Because look at me now. It's great, I think, for people to hear from people like you and people like me. We've been through it all. We know how it feels, and we know what helps, and let's just get on with it. Let's get more great books out into the world. That's what I say.
Absolutely. Yes, I totally agree. Yeah, I was only saying this the other day. Some people like to listen to audibles and things like that, but I love to turn a page. There's nothing better than the feel and the touch. And I think that if it's your pen to paper and it's come from your mind and you're the one that's put that together, how beautiful. And we know what it's like when we launch our books. It's
Yep.
so exciting.
It is indeed. Yes. And where can people get, probably they can't get your first book anywhere, can they? Or
They
can they?
can purchase it through me. If they
Oh,
go on my,
excellent.
I
Okay.
do have a book launch. If you go into book launch, iOS book launch, Sharon Bech, you will find my book, or you can connect with me on Facebook. I also have my own Facebook page for Colourful Life, and same with the second book as well. Sharon Bech, Colourful Life.
Oh, excellent. That way, that's an easy and a really great way for people to catch up with you, I think, because they don't
Yes.
then just have the opportunity to buy the book, but they can engage in your community. That, I think, is the great thing. And I want to just thank you so much for sharing all of this with us, Sharon. It was very real and raw, and I appreciate that from you.
You're welcome.